Ho, ho, ho. This is the last sentence surgeon of the 2023 year. Of course, when we come back from winter break and it's 2024, we'll have some more sentence surgeons. But let's look at this one. I am using the classic book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, it has some very interesting parts of speech in this sentence. And things are placed in odd places. And you can really think about that when you listen to books that are written by Dr. Seuss. He tends to write things in a mixed way. I think it's just to create some interesting ways of making things sound when he wants to make things sound more like poetry, for things to rhyme. He's just got a very unique style of writing. So let's get into it. The sentence says, then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. There's a period. Okay, so is it commanding something? Does that mean that it's an imperative that's ordering somebody to do something? Or is this just a general statement? It's just a general statement. They are declaring something. So it is a declarative sentence. Declarative. Sentence structure, we'll get back to that. All right, so let's look for the parts of speech. I'm going to look for people, places, or things. So we've got Grinch. Grinch is a person, sort of. I guess it depends on what you think of. He's a creature. So also it's capitalized because there's not many Grinches. That is like his name. It's a special name. We know that's who he is and what we're talking about. So that is a proper noun. All right, so a person thought of something he kind of is a person. That's because it's a pronoun, because the word he replaces the word Grinch. It could have said Grinch again. It said, then the Grinch thought of something Grinch hadn't before, but it didn't do that. It replaced the word Grinch with he. Hadn't before. All right, those are all of our nouns. Let's look and see if we can find any actions. Grinch thought. Okay, thinking, we do it inside of our heads, but it is an action, so verb. And if we think about it, the word thought, there's think, thought, and will think. And so this is technically past tense, but I won't write that. I just want you to keep thinking about the different tenses of verbs of something he hadn't before. All right, that sounds good for now. Do we have any describing words? Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Not really. Okay, this is where it gets a little shaky because like I said, there's a lot of words that are trickier to figure out what the part of speech is. Let's just go ahead and say the. We know it's an article because a, and, or the are all articles. Article. And we've done a lot of work with prepositions lately with our preposition slides, and we studied prepositions before Thanksgiving. We did some assignments with that, but of is a preposition. So preposition. All right, so we've got then, something, hadn't, and before. All right, my attention gets drawn to hadn't because it has the apostrophe in it, and that is a contraction. A contraction. And this is technically split right here for the word had and not. And both of those, it's like verb and helping verb kind of situation. So it's like a little verby. But we'll leave that alone. We'll just leave it at a contraction because I want you guys to recognize contractions when we see them. All right, so we have then, something, and before. All right, so before is and then. Those are both words that are kind of describing time placement, right? Because then is placing when things happened. So it's like describing the time that it happens. And before is also doing a very similar thing. That's kind of describing timing placement. And so in this particular sentence, before is describing the thinking. And then Well, I'm just going to be honest. I looked it up because I wasn't 100% sure. But both then and before are both adverbs. Adverb and adverb. I usually like to find the word that it's describing, but then is describing a point in time. All right, and then we have the word something. Something. And I looked this one up too because I was like, okay, something. Well, the word something is kind of replacing what the idea is that he was even thinking of in the first place. So the word something is replacing something else, another noun. It's an idea. So if something is replacing something, just like we did with this pronoun right here, instead of saying Grinch again, the word something is actually replacing the actual idea. So that is also a pronoun, which was a weird one for me to think about. Like, I really had to think about that one. So we're done with the tough parts of speech. This was a tough one, definitely a toughie. But let's look it down here at subject and predicate. So predicate's going to be our action. So our only verb, official verb, is thought. And our subject is going to be what is doing the verb, which is thought. So who thought? Grinch thought. So Grinch. And sentence structure. It's a weird sentence. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. It's not a compound sentence because we don't have a conjunction. It's not even complex, even though it technically is a bit harder of a sentence and it has all these weird parts of speech in it, because there's not an independent clause somewhere. So I think this is just a tough, simple sentence. It's a tough, simple sentence. All right. Merry Christmas.